And let's get down to bidness.
Yeah, I like business.
Who doesn't like bidness?
Business is bad.
All right, so here we go. I'm not making you... Why not? So you showed up without your stuff. You remembered your football cleats and your gloves, which are really important for math class, but you didn't bring your math? I see. So maybe you should go get your notes, don't you think? Wow, then I guess you should have remembered it. Run, Forrest, run. Great, I'll keep going. Then you'll come back and say how much your teacher hates you and doesn't want you to do well. All right. What? Why? Did I give this out on Friday?
Yeah.
It was Friday I gave it out? Then somewhere in my stack of papers I have them. Once again, I remind you all, we have already gone over BEDMAS. So,
I misspelled BEDMAS in my head. I don't know where I am.
So I remind you all of this simple fact. Many of you are not yet good enough at BEDMAS that even if you have a very good calculator, you can still screw it up if you try to punch it all into your calculator in one step. Some of you will be able to do it, and that's fine. But I need you to be aware that it's not always going to work for you. So you need to be less lazy and more rewriting of each step. Okay? Write it down, and then you can't screw it up. Okay? So, let's move it along. Who remembers what the word evaluate in this unit means? TJ. There's no equation there. There's no equal sign. It means you give me a single number with no exponents. Okay, you didn't necessarily need to write that down, but okay. Now, I'm going to do this very long way because it shows you guys more and more and more. It reinforces what is going on. The first thing I'm going to do is do this the long way. And I'm only going to do this in my head. You don't have to if you're not comfortable with it. So I look at this and I see I've got an exponent and an addition. So what do I do first? The exponent, 2 to the third. Now I think in my head, I have already memorized that. Many of you, if I asked, even though I'm still talking and I'm trying to stretch this out so all of you have a chance to think of it, some of you, even though I've been talking this long, are still going to tell me that 2 to the third is 6, which of course it is not. What is it? 8, because this is 2 times 2 times 2, which is, of course, 4 times 2, which is, of course, 8. Now, would I write out all those steps if I was doing this on a test? Of course not. Because one of two things would have happened. I either would have known that 2 to the third is 8, or I would have done like what Stephen did and gone, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 times 2 is 8. I saw him doing that in his head. I couldn't read his mind, but I saw him thinking about it. Or he did that. You did this. 2, and you hit your exponent button, 3, and equals to find that it was 8. You did one of those things. And then you did plus 1. And what is 8 plus 1? 9. Now you guys do the next two whilst I answer the phone. Go for minors. No, I have Miss Lloyd. Okay. The Learning Center looking for Ms. Shepherd. It's like Miss Lloyd has been TAEA here for the entire year, and they said, oh, that's interesting. So I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, what do I do here? One of three things. First of all, I decide where to start. Where am I starting? The exponent. So I'm going to write 8 minus, because I'm not touching the 8 yet. Now, I either know that 3 squared is 9, or I know that 3 squared means 3 times 3, so I do 3 times 3 in my head. Or, if I can't do 3 times 3, I go to my exponent button. I do one of those three things. Yes. No, it's 3 times 3, twice. That's what the exponent means. And that becomes 8 minus 9, which is -1. And finally, oh my good gravy. What do I have there? Brackets. Are they BEDMAS-y brackets? Yeah, they are. There's an operation in there. So that is 3 minus 1 cubed. So if I can't do 3 minus 1 in my head, I get out my fingers. 3, take away 1. If I can't do that, I go to my calculator. Now, guys, every one of you is laughing right now a little bit. Go to your calculator for 3 minus 1. Whatever, Mr. Myers. Duh. But no, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about dealing with the brackets. Yes, you're absolutely right. You don't need to go to your calculator for 3 minus 1. But what if this question was 144.7 minus 38.2? Then you would need to go to your calculator first, wouldn't you? Right? I'm just telling you, it's available to you. Don't not use it if you need to. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, of course, this is 2 to the third power. Now, I left it in brackets to show you that it is just this. You don't need to write those brackets. And we already know that 2 to the third means 2 times 2 times 2. But in case I can't do that in my head, what do? I go to my calc. No, Austin, it isn't. It's 2 times 2 times 2. It is not 2 plus 2 plus 2. Is 4, and 4 times 2 is not 6. Yes. You're multiplying, Austin. What is 2 times 2? Right, there's a 2, and now there's a second 2. 2 times 2, right? That gets me 4. Are you cool with that? So there's the 4. Do you agree? Now, times 2 again. 8. Because there's 4 there, and now it's now, what's the next one going to be? No. 8 times 2. I don't have enough fingers. 16. And what's the next one going to be? 16 times 2, which is 32. That's how exponents work. Only if your base is 2. Okay? If it was 3, it would be 3 times 3, which is 9, and then the next times 3, which would be 27, and the next times 3, which would be 81. It doesn't go in adding, it's multiply. So that, of course, is 8. Is everybody cool? I see that person at the door. So, is everyone cool with that? All right, now here's where it gets annoying for me as a teacher. Some of you are either lying and you don't understand this, or more frustratingly so, you don't understand that this is all you need to be able to do a question that goes all the way across the page. Right? I'll give you a bigger question and you'll be like, I can't do that one, Mr. Myers. But it's exactly what you did here. It's just some adding and some subtracting and some exponents. So let's go to the next one. Please notice how I have given you the blanks and started you out. Why did I put plus 3 over here? Because we're not going to touch it yet. I got to deal with 4 squared first. However you do 4 squared, either you know in your head because you know your times tables that it's 4 times 4, or you go to your calculator and you do 4 exponent button 2. But whatever you do, you know that this is 4 times 4, which is 16, plus 3, which is 19. Okay? Now, look at the next one. I helped you out by showing you what this one's going to be. It's 2 squared, 2 times 2. So what's this one? 5 times 5, which is 25 minus 4, which is 25 minus 4 is 8. 21. Okay? Now, guys, some of you are going to be getting frustrated with the fact that I take 5 squared and I write it out every time. There's a reason I write it out, so you don't make that mistake when you're doing work and do 5 times 2. Like Austin, you sometimes do, right? And you're not the only one. My honors grade 10 kids, when we go over exponents, so what's 5 squared? 10! No. Oh, right, it's 25. Right? Okay, it's not. It's when you see 5 and 2, you want to say 10 because you're used to doing multiply. I get it. But that's why I always write it out, and that's why I tell you guys to write it out. Okay? What's this going to be? Is there some BEDMAS brackets there? It's going to be 3 squared. And 3 squared is what?
9.
Right. 3 times 3, which is 9. Now, Stephen said right here he knew that the answer was 9. Does he need to fill in every blank? No. Do you? No. Do you need to get stressed out if you haven't filled in every blank? No. Now, D is tricky. Yes. Somebody's going to possibly screw D up. What is in the brackets?
5 minus 6.
Which is? -1. Now, look. I am putting brackets there. I don't need them there, do I? Or do I?
Wait, yes, you do.
I absolutely need them there. Why, TJ?
Prove that it actually is -1.
Yes, we need those brackets because this is squared, isn't it? And what does that squared and those brackets mean when I put them together? I'm going to multiply. What am I going to multiply, Austin? No, we're on this one. -1 times what? No. -1. And negative times a negative is? +1. Now, the reason I reminded you about the brackets is because of this. What is -1 squared?
That is -1.
That's -1. Because the negative isn't part of the base. But this, -1 squared, is +1 because this is -1 times negative 1. And the two negatives get me a positive. One of you two has to move because my piss-off-o-meter is approaching its maximum. Again, it would be all right if both of you got every single question on every single test and quiz correct, but you don't. So you still need to be in math class, and you still need to hear what I have to say. And since you cannot sit beside each other without constantly talking, even when I can't let you sit beside each other. Okay, you're going to try to stay up here for a week, Dale.
Okay.
Then I will let you go back there. You will be good for a day, and then I will have to move you again. But that's okay. We'll take it baby steps. Now, look at number 2A. Example number 2A. Are there brackets? Yes. Why are there square brackets and round brackets? What is the need of having two kinds of brackets?
The round brackets are to show that it's -2.
The round brackets are to show that the base here is -2. So we're going to deal with inside the brackets first, aren't we? The other brackets are there simply because we don't want to stack round brackets on top of each other. That's why they're squared. So we're going to deal with inside here first. Am I doing anything with this 2? This one that's highlighted right now.
BEDMAS.
I've got to do BEDMAS. So shouldn't I be dealing with this little exponent first? Yeah. So I'm not doing anything with that 2, am I? So I'm going to leave him in brackets. 2 times, remember a dot is times, what is -2 cubed? Now let's say you're bad with your mental math, so you say to yourself, okay, there's brackets, so the negative is part of the base, yes? And there's a little 3, so how many of these bases are there? 3. And each of them is multiplying, yes? So what is -2 times -2? No, +4. And then +4 times -2 is -8. Now, since it's negative, we're going to put it in brackets. Even though those aren't BEDMAS-y brackets, are they?
No.
Squared brackets. Now, is everybody cool with that? And what is happening outside those square brackets? There's another exponent. Have I dealt with inside the brackets yet? I still need to finish that off. What do I have now? I have 2 times -8. What's that? -16. Now, is that negative part of the base for this exponent? Yes or no? What do these brackets do? They close in everything and group it together, yes?
Yeah.
So is that negative part of the whole base? Yes.
Yes.
Because 2 times -8 is -16. So that negative is still inside these brackets, isn't it? So I have to leave it in the brackets. And that whole thing is squared. Is this negative part of the base? And when I square a negative, what do I get? So I got to do 16 squared. You probably can't do that in your head, so where do you go? Calculator, and what is it? 256. Can everybody do this? Great, let's try this one. Are there BEDMAS-y brackets? Yes. Are those BEDMAS-y brackets, do they have operations inside?
Yes.
Yes. So what are we going to do first? There's 2 exponents. I got to deal with them both at the same time, don't I?
7 squared.
Which is? What's 7 squared? 49. Plus, I'm not doing the plus yet. What's 5 to the 0? 1. all in brackets, divided by, oh my good gravy, I have another exponent, -5. Now what do I do first? I have some bedmassy brackets. What's 49 plus 1? 50 divided by -5. -10 if you can do it in your head. Calculator if you need to. Got it? You guys try these 4 without talking. Well, I shouldn't say that. Without me talking. If you need to talk to each other, go ahead. Remember, you do not need to fill in every blank. Well, I think it's time to throw out this travel mug.
Oh, it's dripping. It's dripping. Duct tape.
It's tripping.
Duct tape, it fixes everything.
My travel mug be tripping. Maybe I'll try turning it around to this side. Still tripping. Well, no, it's just. No, I coached flag football. You know a little bit about me. Do you think I would play flag anything?
Because contact is better than flag.
No, they do have tackle sports for grown-ups. It's called rugby. I know that. They have the better version of football. Rugby.
Rugby.
No protection whatsoever.
Yes, it is. Okay. Fortunately, you're entitled to your opinion, even if it's wrong.
So, you'd rather what's out and wear a whole bunch of crap and
So,
actually taking it.
you've been sitting there for this whole block, watching me fill this in and not saying anything? Oh, good. Brilliant. But apparently, Maya, I don't have an extra. I don't know why. I will print it for you and have it for you tomorrow. Fixed it. Okay. So what do I do first here? I do 3 times 3, which is 9. What's 5 times 9? 45. Come over to here. I do 8 times 8, which is what? 64. 64 divided by 4 is what? 16. Now, I've left no blanks, so you can do it in as few steps as you wish. I do it this way. 3 squared is 9, plus 6 to the 0 is 1, squared, divided by 2 to the 1, which is 2. 9 plus 1 is 10, squared, divided by 2. 10 squared is what? No, Austin, it's 10 times 10. 100. Divided by 2. Divided by 2. 100 divided by 2. 50. See? You know the answers. So just slow down and say the right answer. 10 squared is what?
100.
See? You took a breath and you nailed it. You didn't say 20. 100 plus. Now look at some brackets here. 2 times 2 squared. What should I do first?
2 squared.
2 squared. So I've got 2 times, what's 2 squared?
4.
4. And that's squared, right? So 100 plus, what's 2 times 4? 8 squared. Now what do I do? 8 squared. 8 times 8. 8 times 8. 8 times. 64. And 100 plus 64? 164. Okay. Everybody good?
Do we need all the steps in between? Or
No.
Can we just write down the answer?
Unless I say, show me work. Now,
Sweet.
you guys have all seen questions like this, like on the back of the McDonald's scratching things when you got to win your free fries. Technically in Canada, you're not allowed to win anything for free. Technically.
Ball!
You have to do, that's why if you look on the back of lottery tickets or the McDonald's scratch and win thingies, there's always a skill testing question. That skill testing question is always BEDMAS. Just cause it is. One time I was at McDonald's, I won something, the girl said, you got to fill in the back. I looked at the back and I start thinking about it and she says, it's 7. And I said, no it isn't. She's like, it's 7. I've done it a million times.
So you didn't win your prize?
No, of course I won the prize. It was for a large fries.
She told a lot of people it was 7.
She told everybody it was 7.
It's
And I said, no, it's not. It's 18 or whatever it was. I don't even
You
remember.
wonder why you're working at McDonald's.
There's nothing wrong with working at McDonald's. I worked at KFC. I worked at Subway. What are you trying to say?
You worked at radio.
Oh, I don't know.
Worked at 7-Eleven.
Yeah, you go to a bunch of drunk guys sitting something wrong with stores.
So, let's check this out. Did my man Corin win the movie tickets? Well, let's check. 120 plus 20 cubed divided by 10 cubed plus 12 times 120. That's real tough to punch into your calculator and have it get the right answer.
1,500.
So where should you start?
Exponent.
Great. So you doing anything with 120? Nope. Plus 20 cubed. Well, if 2 cubed is 8, what's 20 cubed? 8,000 divided by, what's 10 cubed? 1,000, because it's 10 times 10 times 10, plus 12 times 120. Now what do we do first?
Multiplication and division.
Multiply and division. What's 8,000 divided by 1,000? 8 plus 12 times 120. Well, 12 times 12 is 144, and then we add a 0. 1440. Now we just go across. 120 plus 8 is 128. 128 plus 1440 is 1568. Is Corin going to the movies?
Yep.
Yes, he is. I hope he takes that girl from McDonald's so he can explain math to her.
It's 7.
It's 7.
From now on, I mean, if I don't know the question, I'm going to be like, it's 7.
Yeah, the second you look at it, she tells you what the answer is.
You ever won like a big prize?
No. Oh, I thought I fixed it. Turns out I didn't. It's not a screw down one. It's got a rubber. Yeah, it's got an O-ring. Screw it. Time to throw it away. I didn't really like this one anyway.
Remember the Viking burial?
When did you go?
I don't
You mean
remember.
send it
When
out
my
to
kid was
me
7.
one photo?
All right.
Yeah.
You guys do this last one. Who's taking me on a cruise? You gotta answer the question correctly to win the cruise. I know the answer. TJ says he knows the answer. Helena, you say you know the answer? It's 7. What's the answer?
75.
What's the answer, Elena?
TJ, don't be that.
What were you gonna say? 7? 75, right? It is 75. Why? What do you do first? Bracket. 6 plus 4 is 10. Now what? Exponents. 3 squared is 9 times 10 minus 10 squared is 100 divided by 4. Now what?
Multiplication and division.
Multiply and divide. 10 plus what's 9 times 10? 90 minus what's 100 divided by 4?
25.
25. Now we just go in order. 10 plus 90 is 100 minus 25 is 75. If you got 75, you want to cruise. Take your favorite math teacher. He's never been on one.
TJ!
My grandma wants to.
I'm your favorite now.
I understand you want to
Okay. Guys, the bell is going to ring in 10 minutes. Now, this is your first big test, so things are a little different on test day. The day before a test, I mean. First thing. You need to do page 57 to 58, starting at the word practice. Then you need to do page 70 to 71. When is this due? Wednesday. And what are we doing differently in this second unit that we didn't do in the first?
marking homework.
These are going to be marked.
Now.
Okay? Does everybody understand? So, right now, you are doing one of two things. One, technically three. One, you are working on your cheat sheet for tomorrow. Two, you are starting page 57 and 58. Or, if you want, you can do 70 and 71 first. Because that's what we just did in our notes. Okay? Tomorrow is your first test. Everybody good? Go! Light this candle. No, Donald.